Getting Real with Ashleydawn. And I was just thinking to myself that 99.9% of problems that we have with other people have nothing to do with us. Listen to me. It has nothing to do with us when people reject us. It has nothing to do with us when people put us down or say mean things or hurt our feelings. 99.9% of the time, it has to do with them and how loved they feel or how loved they don't feel. I kind of went through something recently, and I had to remind myself that my friend that I felt being unkind to me was only operating out of the own kindness she herself felt. Okay? If you have somebody that doesn't love themselves, they are going to struggle to show you that they love you. Because if they don't have love themselves, they can't then give that love that they don't have to you. So one of my friends, and I'm not going to mention her name, but she's very insecure, like extremely, extremely insecure. Granted, a lot of that happened in her childhood, and she every day has to overcome the things that she went through as a little girl and as she's going through as a woman now. And we were having a conversation just about guys and about different guys that have came in and out of her life, and I was telling her, a lot of it has nothing to do with her. She's a beautiful girl. She has a lot going for herself. She has a career. She, has her own place. She has, a new car. She's got everything. It appears that she's just living the life. She's having a great life, but she really wants to be married. She really wants to have a husband, and she's done like online dating, and she's done different things, and she still can't find, that person. And I keep telling her that a lot of it is, she's accepting these guys that are doing the bare minimum, because from her childhood, her parents not showing her love has made her think that it's okay to receive that as an adult. And I was telling her, my life is quite the opposite. My parents, and I'm not saying this to brag, I'm just making a statement. My parents spoiled me with love. We were dirt poor. We didn't have no kind of money. We had enough to, get food and stuff, but we did not live a luxurious lifestyle by any stretch of the imagination. But I was always spoiled with love. I never questioned if my mom and daddy loved me. I knew that they loved me. They showed me on a daily basis. I felt it. They told me a million times a day. My mom, still, I'm 33, and she tells me every time we're together, I love you, I love you, I love you. That's just the way my family is. That's the way my family's always been. And so, in a relationship, I need that same level of love. I do. I need the man that I'm with to affirm me, because my parents affirm me. That is something that I'm used to. I'm used to a loving environment. And there was this one time a couple years ago, well, how many years has it been? It's been like 3 years. I dated this guy, and his family just argued all the time. And I went to Thanksgiving with them, and they literally were like screaming at each other and cussing at each other and saying vulgar things to each other and just putting each other down. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, I can't do this. Like, this is not okay. And for one, it was, different from I was raised in. And I kept thinking, like, I'm not going to date somebody just to date them. I'm dating you for marriage. I'm dating you for forever. And so if I'm seeing some, kind of things that I don't want my children to be exposed to, well, I'm going to make changes necessary while I'm dating. That way my children aren't going to be exposed to this level of toxicity in a toxic environment. Ashleydawn, what do you mean? Well, it is not natural for people to scream vulgarities and yell at each other around the dinner table. That is not natural. Yes, you can have disagreements. Yes, you can maybe voice your opinion, but at no point do you have the right to call anyone, let alone family, let alone your mom, let alone your dad, let alone your brother or your sister. You do not have any right to call them names. You do not have any right to cuss them out. You do not have any right to put them down. No, that's not healthy. That's something flawed within you that instead of getting the healing you need, you're then lashing out at other people and trying to rip them apart. It's not good. God does not want that for you. So I was dating this guy, and it was a very short relationship, because when I went up there for Thanksgiving and then I went up there for Christmas as well to be around his family, it was just a toxic environment. And I realized very quickly that I did not want to be in that environment. I did not want to be around family ripping each other apart and just being mean and hateful, and I just couldn't do it. Could not do it. So I broke up with him. We went our separate ways. Everything's great. But I was talking to my friend about it and letting her know the reason that it was no big deal to them. And when I brought it up and when I said, hey, like, this is not normal. Like, my family did not do that. Like, my mom and dad would have disagreements, but they would never, like, just put each other down and just cuss each other out and just say these mean, awful, hurtful things. They would never do that. And so I didn't grow up in that environment. And so it literally, like, made me sick to my stomach. It made me physically sick to be in that environment and to be around that just negative energy. And so there was one day we were driving, and my ex-boyfriend started screaming and yelling at his mom. And I was just like, okay, that's it. Like, if you're going to scream and holler at your mom, good night. Who knows what you're going to do to your wife? Like, this ain't happening. And so because I was used to a certain level of love from my own mom and dad, because I was used to a certain level of respect from my own parents, I understood that that wasn't natural. I understood that that didn't need to be happening. And so for my friend who did grow up in that negative, crazy, toxic environment, she didn't understand what the problem was. She thought it was normal. She thought it was natural. And so she was willing to accept things that looked like her childhood in a relationship. If a guy cussed her out, that was fine with her because she was used to it. If a guy said mean things to her, that was fine to her because she was used to it. And I was telling her, like, no. The man that you decide to be with, the man that is, laying his life down for you, that is supposed to show you that he loves you, he will not treat you like that. He will not abuse you, because that is abuse. It's a form of abuse. It's a form of neglect. It's just bad. And I was telling her, it's just like, children that are born addicts. Like, if they are born a child of somebody who was using drugs while they were pregnant, that child is going to be born into addiction. And the child is going to have to withdraw as a baby from the drugs, right? Because while it was in its mom's stomach, it continued to get drugs. And when it was delivered, and now is not getting those drugs, so it will have to withdraw. The same thing if you are raised in a toxic environment. When you then get out of that toxic environment, whether it be abuse, whether it be name calling, whatever it is, you're going to have to withdraw from that. And it's going to be painful, and it might hurt a little bit, but it's for your benefit. It's for your good. And so counseling is a great thing, to have a counselor walk through that with you, to have somebody that can kind of take all your thoughts and kind of show you different things about them, if that makes sense. Like, sometimes you don't understand. You have all these feelings. It's like a child, right? I'm a teacher. Child has all these feelings. They have all these thoughts, and they don't understand how to verbalize them. They're in pain, but they don't know how to explain to their caregivers that they're in pain. They don't know the words for it. And so sometimes as an adult, if you were born or raised into a toxic environment, you have all these feelings, but you don't know how to verbalize them. You don't know how to healthily express them. Because if you were born in a toxic environment, you might lash out the way that you were lashed out on. For instance, if your mom and dad screamed at you every time you said something, then you might scream at somebody else every time they say something, because it's a learned behavior. Well, the same thing, if you were mistreated by your parents, if they abused you in any way. I know Joyce Meyer talks about her dad, sexually abused her entire childhood. And so when she was a teenager and she started looking for a relationship with men, she found men that reminded her of her dad. They reminded her of that abuse. And I believe she said her first husband abused her and was awful to her. And so when I look at that, you know, my life is quite the opposite. My dad and mom really spoiled me with love, with affection, with attention. And so in a relationship, I need that same thing. I need somebody that is going to spoil me with love and affection and attention. And if they don't, I realize that as a problem. If they don't, I see that there's a deficit there. And chances are I will speak my mind, and I will share that with the person that I'm dating or talking to, and I will let them know, listen, you know, to be in a relationship with me, I'm going to need these things. I'm going to need respect. I'm going to need love. I'm going to need understanding. Number one, I'm going to need honesty, and I'm going to need love. It's like a flower. If a flower doesn't have sunshine, it won't grow. In a relationship, if there is not love there, it's not going to grow. It's not going to flourish. And I would say biblical love, the love of Jesus, the unconditional love, that even on your worst day, I'm still going to love you. Even when you don't do everything right, I'm still going to love you. I'm still going to be there for you. I'm going to extend grace to you. I'm not going to expect perfection of you. I'm just going to expect you to try your best. I saw a meme the other day, and it said, as long as you're trying, I'm staying. Meaning, you know, relationships are full of all different kinds of things. It takes two broken people, two imperfect people trying to make a relationship work. And so when I saw that, I was like, yes, I love that, because it said, you know, if you're trying, like honestly trying every day, trying your best, then I'm staying. I'm not going to give up on this relationship until you give up on it too. And I'm not saying that everybody's perfect. Literally, every person comes with baggage. Every person comes with something that they're working through. I have a ton of my own. Goodness gracious. One of the biggest things that I have to overcome in relationships, I have trust issues from being betrayed, from being cheated on, from being lied to. I have very, very big trust issues. And it's a daily choice that I have to make to trust. To not believe that every person wants to hurt me. To not believe that every person is going to lie to me. It takes a lot to trust for me. And that's something that I have to overcome. Maybe you're overcoming something and you're just like, man, it's so hard. Maybe it was a childhood. Maybe it was a divorce. Maybe it was a really terrible relationship. And you're trying. I just want to commend you, like, way to go. Good job trying. Keep trying. Keep doing whatever is necessary to overcome the toxic traits that maybe you have learned, or maybe you have been raised in, or maybe you're trying to overcome. Way to go overcoming those. It takes a lot. It's very hard. It's not easy. Trust me. I know. I have, goodness gracious, a lot that I am personally trying to overcome and trying to be better than I was the day before. I'm not perfect. Nobody is. And I have struggles just like everybody else. But every single day, I try to be better than I was the next day. I try to be better than, you know, I just try to be better. I know that I have a lot of traits that I'm trying to unlearn, a lot of things that I have done that I'm trying to not do again. And the trust thing is really big. Just to not make everyone pay for the things that other people have done, to understand that not everybody is going to lie to me. Not everyone is going to misuse my trust or is going to take me for granted. And that's something that you have to learn, and you have to say, you know what, that person hurt me, but every person isn't that person. Every person isn't going to hurt me. Anyway, back to the beginning of this. So my friend and I were talking, and she was just saying about how she really struggles in relationships because she has grown up the way that she has, and because, you know, she's been treated the way that she's been treated. She struggles believing that there's going to be a good guy out there, believing that somebody is going to love her the way that she desires to be loved. I don't know where this car thinks they're going to go. But she desires to be loved a certain kind of way. And she was just saying that she doesn't know if there's a guy that can love her the way that she wants to be loved. And I was telling her, like, for one, yes, there is a man that is going to love you the way that you dream to be loved. Now, it might not happen immediately, it might take some time because maybe he's overcoming something from his past. Maybe he was raised in an environment that wasn't exactly a healthy one. Maybe he's going to have to overcome some things of his own. Maybe you're going to have to overcome some things of your own. And so don't look for perfection. Don't look for everything to just be, Pinterest ready or picture perfect or the way that you planned. But when somebody is actually trying, when they are actually sorry for the things that they've done that have hurt you, when they're willing to apologize, when they're willing to sit down and talk things out with you, when they're willing to say, you know what, I did something wrong, I hurt your feelings, I acknowledge that I hurt your feelings, can we talk about it? How can I make this better? I care about you, I love you, I care about our relationship, I want to continue our relationship, and I know I messed up, I know I did something wrong, so how can I make it better? But if you have somebody that just lets you walk out of their life and never responds to you again, never tries to make it work, never apologizes, never realizes, somebody who never apologizes, who never realizes when they hurt you, who never even acknowledges that if you tell them that they hurt you and they never acknowledge it and they say, oh, you're too sensitive, or they make you feel bad about caring or feeling something, like obviously they don't care. But if you have somebody who genuinely cares about you, who genuinely is trying to overcome their negative traits and is being gentle and is having grace with your negative traits, because we all have them, or nobody is perfect, we all have struggles, it's worth it. And so my friend that I was talking to, the guy she's talking to right now, is not worth trying. He doesn't care about her. He's made it very clear that he doesn't care about her. She has told him over and over and over again that the things that he's doing, the things that he's saying are hurting her, and he doesn't care. So she needs to break up with him. She needs to just be done. But I have another friend who they're married now. They've been married for a while. But when they first started dating, he had to overcome a lot from his childhood. And I can see the fruit and the growth that has happened based on him caring about his wife. At the time it was girlfriend. I can see how he cared enough to do the hard work to overcome his past and to be the man she needed him to be. And now they have an amazing marriage, and he is the man that she always dreamt that he would be. He is the man that she prayed for, and they have a great marriage. Is it perfect? No, they still have to overcome things every day, but they put in the work. That's the thing you have to question, and you have to ask yourself, is this person putting in the work? Are they putting me first? Or are they putting themselves first? Do they care more about themselves, or do they care more about our relationship? Are they willing to do whatever is necessary to make it work? Some people are, some people aren't. But a lot of time, the things that they do doesn't have anything to do with us. And so often, right, somebody cheats on us. I know I can only talk about my life because I've lived it. When I was married before, and my ex was just terrible. He was so terrible. He treated me awful. And when he was doing the things that he was doing, I allowed myself to question my value and my worth based on the things that he was doing, based on him being rejected and then rejecting me, based on him not feeling good enough and then trying to make me not feel good enough, based on him not liking the way that he looked and not liking how much weight he gained, and then pointing fingers at me and putting me down because I wasn't gaining weight the way that he was. So I really took it personal when it was his own issue that he needed to work through. And so I just want to encourage you on this video, on this Gettin' Real, if somebody is making you feel some kind of way, try not to point fingers at yourself and always be, well, what could I do better? Well, if I was prettier, he'd love me more. If I was this, he'd love me more. No. Sometimes people don't know how to love you because they themselves don't feel loved. Sometimes they've grown up in an environment to where they haven't felt loved at all, and so they don't know how to give love. Be gentle. be patient, because some people just need to be loved so that then they can receive that love and then give that love out. I think of Jesus, it says in the Bible, we love him because he first loved us. Jesus showed us what love looks like, and it's our job as Christ followers to then take the love that he gives us and then give it away, to show the love that he gives us to everybody else. The problem is, a lot of time we are depending on our own love to give that out, and our own love is flawed and it's imperfect and it's gonna run out. Jesus's love is perfect and it's not flawed and it doesn't run out. And so when we rely on his strength and when we rely on his love and when we love others unconditionally and realize, like, oh, they made a mistake, guess what, I make mistakes too. Oh, they did this, guess what, I do that too. Oh, they did this, instead of nitpicking and pointing fingers and being like, well, you did this and you did this and you did this, realizing like, oh wow, I'm not perfect either, and this person is at least trying to show me that they're sorry. They're at least trying to show me that they care. They're at least trying to show me that something they've done has hurt me and they don't want to do that anymore. So if you're struggling in a relationship, maybe you're dating somebody who doesn't know what love is, can I encourage you to be patient with them, to show them the love that you've received? But can I also encourage you to never allow yourself to be abused and call it love? Regardless if you've grown up in a toxic environment or not, if you are being abused, if you are being put down, if somebody is mistreating you, love yourself enough to stand up for yourself. Even if you don't know how, you are worthy of love. Even if nobody in your life has ever loved you, Jesus loves you. Even if your dad mistreated you, even if your mom mistreated you, you are worthy of love. Do not believe the lie that you are too flawed or too broken not to be loved. Every person is loved by God. It says in the Bible over and over, I have loved you at your darkest. My beautiful, there is no flaw within you. You are altogether lovely. That's in Song of Songs. I've loved you at your darkest is in Romans. God loves us and he doesn't leave us and he doesn't forsake us. People are flawed. They're imperfect. They will leave us. They will hurt us. Jesus never will. You deserve to be loved. You do not deserve to be beat on. If you're in a relationship and you're getting beat on, I can just, you need to get help. You need to reach out to somebody, whether it be at a church. I went to an amazing group, Healing for Betrayed Hearts in Cincinnati, Ohio, at Crossroads Church. It literally saved my life. Those women cared about me and loved on me when I needed it most. There are lots of other organizations that help women out of bad situations, but just because you were raised in an environment that made you feel like love was a privilege or love was some special thing that only happened to special people, that's a lie. Even on your worst day, God loves you more than anything in the world. Even when you feel like the scum of the earth, you feel just that tall, God loves you more than anything in the world. You are worthy of love, even if no one has ever shown you that. You are worthy of love. You are beautiful, even if you don't feel like it. Even if somebody has told you that you're not, I promise you, you are beautiful. God looks at you and he delights in you. Toxic situations are only toxic when you're in them. When you get out of them, it's kind of like when you're like in a smoke-filled room and you can't breathe, and you're trying to breathe and you're trying to breathe and there's just smoke everywhere. But then when you get away from that smoke, when you get away from that environment, your lungs can breathe finally. Or when you're underwater, right? Maybe you're underwater and you're swimming and you're holding your breath, and then you come above water and you can breathe. Getting out of a toxic situation is like breathing. And sometimes we don't realize how desperate we were to actually breathe until we're able to breathe. I'll tell you another little story. So my tires on my car were so bald that when I would stop at red lights, they wouldn't really stop that good. Like they'd kind of like slide a little bit. And I didn't have money to buy new tires because tires are expensive. It was like $518 to buy tires. And so I didn't have that kind of money just lying around. I'm working through some medical debt. Woo! And I just didn't have money to do that. Well, my tires got so bad that when I went to get my oil changed, the guys are like, listen, you don't have any tread left. Like, it's amazing that you're still able to drive. Like, these are not going to last you. And it's rainy season, so they're definitely not going to last you. So whatever, I get the new tires. Can I tell you that I did not realize how bad my tires were until I had the new ones? Until I was driving and I just tapped that brake and those tires gripped the road and stopped. I had no idea how dangerously I was driving on them bald tires until I was on new tires with tread. Sometimes in our life, we have to get away from a situation to realize just how bad it actually was. When I was in my, I don't even like to call it marriage, but on paper it was marriage. So when I was there, I didn't realize how bad it actually was until I got out of it. Until I got around people that actually loved each other and actually took the time to show each other that love. That I was like, oh wow, yeah, I didn't have that. Isn't that funny? Sometimes it takes being completely away from the situation for you to realize just how bad that situation actually was. So, if somebody in your life is rejecting you, maybe they're calling you names, and it doesn't have to be a romantic, love interest. It doesn't have to be a boyfriend, fiance, whatever. It could be a friend. Listen, I've had some friends that were very insecure, and instead of dealing with their own insecurities, they thought that it would be nice for them to put me down, right? I've had some friends that were overweight that picked on me because I wasn't overweight. I've had some friends that, didn't like the shape of their body parts, so they picked on me because they liked mine, and it was very passive aggressive and it hurt. But their problem wasn't with me. Their problem was with themselves. They were just lashing out at me because they didn't know how to verbalize properly the way that they were internally feeling. So if somebody is putting you down, if somebody is mistreating you, that is a reflection of them. That is a reflection of what's going on the inside of them. That is not a reflection of you. Now, if you're just being mean and hateful and people are responding to that mean and hatefulness, well, then that's different. But overall, generally, if people are treating you badly, 9 times out of 10, it's because they themselves are struggling with it with themselves, and they're just trying to project it on you so they don't have to deal with it. So they feel better about themselves. Like, have you ever heard that term, misery loves company? Sometimes when people are so miserable, they just want to make somebody else miserable so they don't feel so bad. In a relationship, sometimes men can even be so miserable that they just want to make women miserable so that they don't feel so bad. Have the backbone enough to stand up for yourself. Have the backbone enough to say, you know what? I deserve better. You're not treating me the way that I deserve, and I deserve better. And yes, it may take some time. Yes, it may not happen overnight. But I'm telling you, it is better to be single than to settle for a man that doesn't love you, or to settle for a man that half loves you, right? Have you ever had those? I had one, that guy that I dated, and he told me, he sent me the John Mayer song, and he said, I can only love you with half of my heart. And I'm like, well, peace, because I don't want half of it. I'm an all or nothing girl. I either want all of your heart or I want none of it. I either want all of your attention or I want none of it. And vice versa in a relationship. I want to give all of myself to a relationship. I don't want to have a half. I don't want to have a half kind of relationship. I want the whole thing. So I just want to encourage you. If you are in a relationship to where you don't feel loved Evaluate if that relationship is worth it. Evaluate if that person is treating you, one, the way that you treat them, right? Treat others the way you want to be treated. And two, the way that you deserve to be treated. And if you think, well, I don't really know what I deserve to be treated like because I've always been treated bad, honey child, message me. I will tell you how you deserve to be treated. Like a queen. Like a princess. God gave his best for us. So if God gave his best for you, do you think that he wants you to accept the worst treatment? No. If he gave his best for you, do you think he wants you to be abused? No. Jesus took abuse on himself so that you wouldn't have to. Jesus took the punishment for your shame and your sin so you wouldn't have to. So if Jesus took all of that, why in the world do you think that you should be being mistreated? Why did Jesus take on all that? If then God wanted you to be abused, if God wanted you to be mistreated, Jesus wouldn't have taken that. Think about it. Seriously. You are God's daughter. Or if you're watching and you're a man, you're God's son, and you don't deserve to be abused either. I've known some women that have abused men, and that is wrong. You are God's son or daughter, and God has great things for you. A marriage between two people, you're supposed to give yourselves to each other. Your body is not your own. And so you're supposed to treat that other person with even more love and kindness than you would treat yourself. That's why it's so important to know God's love and to know what it is and what it looks like, because sometimes we could accept a counterfeit. Oh, but he makes me feel pretty. Oh, but he tells me I'm pretty. Oh, but he gives me attention. But does he love you? Does he respect you? Does he cherish you? Does he treasure you? Does he want to protect you? If the answers to those questions are no, then you need to sorry, I know this is going to hurt some people. You need to break up. If the man you're with doesn't love you, doesn't care about you, doesn't treasure you, doesn't want to protect you, doesn't want to provide for you, doesn't want to try his best to be the man that he knows you deserve him to be, it's better for you to be single. I promise you. And I know that's not what some of y'all want to hear, but it's true. I've been single for a long time. And guess what? I might be single even longer, but I am not going to accept anything less than love. I'm not going to. And I highly encourage you not to either. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of affection and attention and devotion and loyalty and integrity and commitment. You are worth it. Don't let anybody make you feel like you're not. And if you're struggling with overcoming some toxic environments from your childhood, please reach out to a counselor. It could save your life. And if you need to know, I have lots of friends that are counselors, that are Christian biblical counselors. I have some people that I've used. So message me and I'll send you their information too. I love you, but more importantly, God loves you. You are seen, you are celebrated, and you are loved. More than anything, the man in your life should be making you feel seen, celebrated, and loved. He should be a reflection of God. He should be showing you the way that Jesus loves you. And if he's not, pray about it. I love y'all, and I'll catch you in my next one. I hope this encouraged you.